In 2024, the Integrity OCTANE Series proved it could do just about anything some of the best iRacing leagues in the business are able to do. With top-level competition, exciting racing, long-form green flag runs, and one of the best championship finishes we've seen here in FTN Broadcasting, last year was a massive success. And with 2025 now just a week away from its official beginning, the Next Gens are back for the first time since 2023, and the Integrity Racing League has returned in full swing. Welcome back to the sunny Daytona Beach, Florida landscape, the 2.5-mile circuit. This is the Integrity OCTANE Series, and the 2025 duels are here now. Tonight, 3 minutes of qualifying remain before we get things going from the Daytona International Speedway. The World Center of Racing plays host tonight to two twin 40-lap events spanning in total 100 miles apiece. This is one of those events that is a can't miss for any championship contender, whether it's a rookie or a veteran. We've been seeing recently in Integrity anyway, rookies rising to the top. Last season, the rookie Michael Araya came away with a double-digit victory win total, and of course the championship at season's end. He's one of the 45 plus who have registered for tonight's racing, and he's going to go against a massive field either way. Thank you for tuning in and just getting things started here live on FTN Broadcasting. If you were with us last night or you haven't been with us before, great to have you. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Currently, with 2 minutes left on the clock before our duels begin, we're seeing drivers get settled in to go for the pole position. This would be positions 1 and 2 locked in on this run. Currently, Randy Fiash finds himself all the way up to the top of the board. His quick time is a 49.47, although it looks like now Michael Krabuk goes up to the top. Michael in the number 72 is doing double duty in the league, and the 72 is up to P1, 7 1,000ths of a second the advantage, currently over Brandon Lambert. Zach Skrintinol is now in third. Fiash across the line still looks to be P4, so not going to lock himself in. Only the front row are exempt from dual qualifying stipulation. Eric McFarland with a massive run. That's a 49.425, only to be overcome. Brian Yaksik in the 55 immediately outdoes him. And John Steele, more the same. Drivers on their second and final laps are red hot, and we're seeing many of them get to grips with the circuit and fast. Across the line right there, there's the number 23 of Richard Smith, looking for some very strong runners who are going to come across momentarily, including the likes of Jared Davis, the number 19, one of the final drivers to register for tonight. But it looks like as he comes across, the number 19 will go from 41st all the way up to P8. Davis inside the top 10 for now. Richard Smith, he's going to jump high and get himself up outside the top 20 he was previously. He'll make it in this time through. Blake Cannon is also on the way. You see that number 44 pass by. He was a one-time winner last year, which is more than what almost the entire field can say. And he's back once again. Took a hiatus in the middle of the season and is returning for his first full-time effort. The rookie, one of the only drivers last year to win in both the Ignite and OCTANE series. Road courses are his specialty. Super speedways, he's pretty solid with those as well. As Cannon comes through, top two will be locked up, so it will be John Steele with the official pole position for Daytona, and it looks like Brian Yaksik will take P2. Qualifying has concluded, and it looks like now we're going to move on to your first duel of the night. John Steele with a quick time of 49.405 grabs the pole for the Daytona 250. 22 drivers per duel, a little bit smaller than what we saw last night. Nevertheless, it's going to be a strong field as we look above the virtual Daytona International Speedway. For the viewers who are brand new to this ordeal, well, it's a well-known track, most well-known, of course, for its oval racing, and we're using the oval configuration today. It will be, of course, the 2.5-mile circuit, opened in 1959 for first use with the NASCAR Cup Series. But even though this track was made for stock cars, it's seen many uses. We've seen Indycar action, we've seen dirt tracks, road course racing with the 24 Hours of Daytona, rallycross with a dirt setting, and of course smaller ovals such as the Battle at the Beach setup used in the mid-2010s. But tonight, it's all about the 2.5-mile 4-turn circuit with banked corners of over 30 degrees and a banked tri-oval. Drivers should not have to let their foot off the gas if everything goes right. That's never a guarantee, though, and right now, 22 drivers are looking to try their hand for the very first time this year. For the drivers who are veterans of the Integrity Racing League and the modern era, the Octane Series started as a Next-Gen League. It was the 2023 season that saw the Next-Gens in use. Seth Noel came away as the champion in that effort. 2024 was the Gen 4s in which Michael Araya was able to take his first championship as a rookie. But tonight, two drivers who are championship hopefuls line up positions 1 and 2. It'll be John Steele inside of row number 1 and Ross Cato, second place in the 2023 championship, P2 to start the season here in this duel. Michael Krobach will be in P3 and Brad Patton will be 4th with Aaron Eads in 5th. John Kalist is 6th place, Randy Fiash then 7th. Josh Gallagher will be 8th place, another rookie, and so will the 93 Matt Sizzler. A lot of new drivers from 7th down to 10th, all in succession, with Ryan Bean P10 in that 26. Matt Jonas is in 11th. Chad Mikus, who's qualified strong for the Monday night race, he's doing double duty. He's the 25. Sam Nieto, also double duty, the typical number 2. Different paint scheme tonight. He's rocking the 22. He's 13th. Scott Eckridge is P14. Don Runkle will be 15th. Brock Potter, number 14, will be starting 16th, with a Bobby Keith 17th, Jay Heishman in 18th, Kevin Burheimer in 19th, and Chris Muff 20th. Richard Smith will be the number 23 in 21st place. Kyle Cooper will be 22nd and last of the starting grid. A little bit smaller than what we saw Monday night, and so we have 44 drivers competing for these dual victories, across both duels anyway. And it all comes down to what happens in this first one. Typically, that sets the tone for what's next to come. Last night in our first duel, we saw an overtime finish in which Thomas Bressi came away with the first duel. It ended under caution as a result of a very quick final yellow flag. There were 3 cautions in that duel, same race distance, 27 drivers. A little bit smaller field, different car, and it's been over a year since these next gens were taken out in integrity competition. So, getting used to it. That's the big challenge tonight. Familiar faces go up against the newcomers as we go next-gen racing in Daytona. John Steele with control as we head past the start-finish line. Welcome back to the World Center of Racing. This time we go at it Octane style. The Tuesday Night Tour is back in action. Ross Cato at the helm to open up the night. He'll take lap number 1 and he'll lead both double file lanes. Mini Boy 2 in the chat room, thank you for stopping by. Tom Wetmore rooting for the Roadhouse Motorsport operation. John Steele Among those, racing in the number 22 as Wetmore grabbed the pole last night for the Ignite Series race. Quick time there, just by over 1,000th of a second. Very small difference, going a long way for their 300-mile feature. And if the night goes well here with this first duel coming its way, we might just see the number 69 driver in the broadcast booth. Stay tuned for that as we get things going to open up here, of course, with the next gens. A little bit different, all things considered, but track conditions remain very fair to the driver. That shouldn't be much of a worry tonight at all. Overall, ambient temperature of 70 degrees Fahrenheit with a track temperature currently of 83 degrees. Winds will be eastbound at 13 miles an hour, and overall relative humidity coming in rather low at just about 14 miles an hour. So not much to be concerned about if you're a driver up in front or in the back of the field. And currently Ross Cato looks rather confident as there's a small breakaway up in front. You can see this second pack with guys like Randy Fiash getting to grips, but currently a little bit too far back to make any immediate moves. That will give Ross the immediate advantage. Cato is a driver who's one of the best in league history with the next gen. It all came down to his one and only Integrity Racing League win, which came in the November of 2023 at the Martinsville Speedway. A do-or-die victory for the number 12. He needed to get the job done to make it into the Final Four over drivers like Jacob Fife. He was a top 5, top 6 driver for the majority of the season, just couldn't get the job done for a race win. That was his Achilles heel. But on that night in Virginia, that's where things changed. Cato was able to come through and collect the checkered flag. So far, it's his only, but it was the difference between missing the Final Four and contending for a race win. Caution is out. Brock Potter involved, and an immediate incident. You saw it there, 2 turns 3 and 4. Things get a little nasty, and the yellow flag will fly. Here's an immediate replay. Potter, the man involved. And Brock, you can see him up on the top of the circuit here. A little bit of a checkup, gets contact, and that's what ends up spinning the 14 right around. It looked like catching a piece there. Don Runkle gets away. Brock Potter loses all that position. The number 14 around and spinning. And he's now going to find himself dead last with big suspension troubles. Contact came from Chris Muth, so both rookies getting involved in their first integrity incidents. As a result, they'll be at the tail end of the field. First caution of the night, 5 laps in of our now 85 laps run this year in integrity competition. This is the earliest caution to come out and the only one to come out in the single digits. John Steele is your race leader after that one. Brock Potter going to be down and in. It looks like some major damage repairs. Highly unlikely he gets that thing put back together for lead lap competition tonight. A reminder that for every driver, there is no fast repair. That means no second chances. This car you start with is the car you finish with, and while damage repairs are possible on pit road, nothing is guaranteed. And with that major suspension damage on the right front, it's very unlikely that everything is fixed up in time. Now heading down a pit road, you'll see Michael Krobuck among others, and pit road is highly populated. Most of the field comes in, as a matter of fact, and take a look right now with Michael and company. They're all down and in. Aaron Eads with the minor advantage, winning the race off pit road, the 88th, another rookie. Aaron is making his very first start as an integrity driver. Michael is making his second. The Team Conti driver was in the event last night, the Ignite Series Duels. So, looks like a little bit of an advantage for Michael, of course, having that knowledge and a little bit of experience with some of these drivers. There are multiple who are doing double duty tonight. We'll discuss that more when we're under green. But so far, it looks like all but 5 drivers have decided to go to pit road. Left side of your screen will show you the last pit lap for the field. If a driver's last pit lap is 0, it means they've never gone into pit road for this race. John Steele, Ross Cato, Sean Kalist, Matt Jonas, and the number 70 of Scott Eckrich look to be the holdouts now. Of course, a small bundle of 5 at the front of the field. 6 laps typically doesn't make much of a difference in a track like Daytona, but if we do see an overtime finish, extra few laps. Both in tire and fuel could prove consequential to how a driver approaches the rest of the race. Steele maintains the race lead in the 22, holding it down for Roadhouse Motorsport. Then from there, you got Ross Cato for the Fast Forward Esports conglomerate. Brand new paint scheme for Ross Cato, looks real good, all covered up in Octane Series blue. Whether or not that's a coincidence, we might have to ask him if he ends up winning this duel. Sean Kalist is another one of those veterans. Got a few starts in over the course of 2024. He was in the 43 last season. He did very well in his duel in 2024. Came away with a top 5 finish there. Overall, though, didn't really make much else of the campaign. The number 90 now, coming in with a brand new look. Sean, hoping for a little bit better in this next-gen era. Matt Jonas is up top for P4. Scott Eckrich is there in 5th. And all 5 drivers who have held out on taking any pit stop lead the way. Chris Muth is 1 lap down and looks to be off the track. 2 laps down is Brock Potter. You can't even see that 14. Still working in the garage there. Meanwhile, John Steele holds fort. We'll go back green at lap number 8. Our first restart of the night. So now we have a total of 20 drivers on the lead lap. The last of them is getting up to the pack right now. That's Don Runkle. Runkle qualified strongly for the dual heats. Wasn't able to lock himself in, but got rather close with his attempt last night. He's at the tail end of the field right now, and still many a gain to be made for this 00 crew. Currently, Runkle sits in the 20th spot, and compared to where he got things started, it is overall a net loss, -5 to this point. Biggest mover inside the top 10 is 14th to 5th. That's Scott Eckrich, another one of those rookies showing strong in his very first start. We'll see if that holds out as a long-term trend. So far, the new guys are dominant, and they occupy the majority of our top 10 grouping here. 5th on down, going to be some of the new guys, and you've got the veterans up in front. John Steele again will have control in the number 22, and it's about time we go racing, as it will be side by side. Steele and Cato at the helm once more. And so it begins once again. John Steele and Ross Cato with each other, side by side, 2 by 2. What we saw last night is likely going to be indicative of the strategy we see today. Even if it's a different car, it's the same track and the same amount of racing real estate, if not a little bit less. These next gens are not as forgiving. They're slightly bulkier than their Xfinity counterparts. So what you're going to see tonight is most likely a continuation of the double file trend, which has proven so dominant in all Integrity SuperSpeedway events. Been a long time since we took the next gens out to this track. In 2023, we took it out twice. And in those events, Cody Smith came away with the first ever Octane Series victory. Guillermo Alvarez won in the summer of 2023 in the Tube Tech 250. That race came down in large part to a dominant team effort held by Alvarez and company. He fought off the rest of the field with great support and came away with the win. As for Cody Smith's victory, it was a head-to-head battle between he and Brad Patton. At the line, Cody Smith barely came away with the win, and that ended up being his first victory in the modern era in the Next Level Racing number 18 Chevrolet. So we've got here twice before with relatively similar equipment, and even then the next gen has changed an awful lot ever since that point. Well, for starters, the Toyotas don't even look the same, but to add to that, the package has changed back and forth. Drivers are getting used to that fact. Even if you've been with this league, you can't rely on your notebook from 2023 to give you all the answers. And of course, that means there's a little bit extra strategy involved in just getting to grips with how the car feels. But it's Daytona. Most of these drivers already have a pretty good handle of it if they're here already. Taking a ride aboard John Steele's Chevrolet Camaro cockpit. You can see here, pretty tight up and down the order. Backside has rows and rows of cars. Front ahead, same deal, and side by side with many, including Josh Gallagher in the 96 coming up. And for Steele, as much as the rookies have the challenge of facing off against the experienced veterans, you have to imagine it's a challenge when you're facing off against the new drivers as a veteran. You don't know these guys at all, and it's very tricky to figure out what leeway you have, what you can do around the field that you're racing with now, compared to, for the most part, what we saw in the past 2 years, almost the entire same field, race in, race out, big contact, Matt Jonas, the 15 goes around, Ross Cato, John Steele involved, caution is out, Fiash piles in, Cato hit once again, big one here in Daytona, collecting at least 6. Here's an instant replay, should give us a few more answers. So, it looks like the number 15 of Jonas was wiggling back and forth, and 3 wide went Kyle Cooper. As Cooper did so, Jonas went under the double yellow line, tried to merge back in. Aaron Eads not going to have it, and then the 15 spins. Ross Cato hits John Steele right there. Looks like Cato gets tapped once again on the way out. Steele, major front end damage. The 15 continues to spin. Randy Fiash catches one more piece. Then Bobby Keith drives through the grass. Near miss there for Aaron Eads after everything happened. Aaron getting rather lucky, all things considered. Take a look back one more time, this time inside the cockpit of the 88. Minor front end contact twice and avoiding Ross Cato and the standstills, even as the smoke fills his rearview mirror. Unfortunately, that's more of a racing incident, if anything, just unfortunate. Most had catches so many drivers. Aaron was right on that line. Looks like ever so slightly Matt Jonas went under. Expected room to come back in. Did not get it. Chad Mikus, nevertheless, is your race leader as part of the field comes down to pit road. Notably, Sean Kalis just made his way in. John Steele is still holding out, as is Michael Krobuk and Brad Patton. Ross Cato still going to find himself waiting. Coming down to pit road, Patton and company down there. 13 laps in, second caution of the night. We have 50 minutes or 40 laps to complete this event, so hopefully we don't see any more of these yellow flags, or we'll be running pretty close when it comes to time. Chad Mikus getting an opportunity up and ahead for domination intimidation racing. And the 25, with his history at these Daytona events, rather strong. He's an Ignite Series veteran. All honesty, one of the top 5 drivers consistently through last year. In the regular season anyway, he came home 3rd in points, just wasn't able to get the job done in the playoffs. He missed Darlington. That was the be-all, end-all, but he put together an impressive record of 25 races in which he came away with his career high in top 5s, top 10s, led laps, and qualifying position. Mikus has proven that he's got a lot more in him than what we saw back when the Next Gens were first ran in this league, and Chad's continued improvements are the good reason to bring him in here with the Big Evil Designs number 25, getting his first chance to lead in the Octane Series competition. Kevin Bernheimer in the number 28, brand new as well. Bernheimer, first career starts. And now his highest position in his very young career. Kyle Cooper, number 73, going to be in 3rd. Josh Gallagher is now 4th. Sam Nieto gets up to P5 with Ryan Bean running in 6th. Restart at lap number 15 as Chad Mikus comes around. Going to be 1 lap to green as drivers get themselves settled off of pit road. Scott Eckrich and Michael Krobach decide to go in for just a little bit more service. Minor extra damage repairs. Should be enough to get back on the way momentarily. Drivers assemble double file, and so far 2x2 has been the way to go. Having snagged drivers try to push the issue of 3 wide up top. Kyle Cooper right before the wreck, and although he didn't get involved, he was pushing it 3 wide middle, so wasn't really making much of a difference with respect to the rest of the field, but was making waves and showing that there's a chance drivers can use that extra groove. For the time being, though, it doesn't look like that's going to be a prominent method going up and down the track. Expecting that side-by-side to remain, especially with this second warning shot. Mostly what we'll see from top to bottom. Matt Jonas also looks to be out of the cockpit, and that's another potential retiree after our most recent incident. Chris Muth and Matt Jonas out of the car. 17 drivers on the lead lap as we head back at it for our 15th lap tonight. Very few holdouts, but those that are waiting include Sean Kalist. Kalist has not decided to go down a pit road yet. He is still the only driver now who's done it different. He has that last pit lap set to 0, meaning he's decided to avoid pit road even through these first 2 cautions. We'll see whether or not it comes back to bite him, but for now it has proven to give him no problems. He's up to the 7th spot, and it looks like he's continuing his movement. He is on the way up. Sean has gone from 6th to 7th on the night, so he's down 1 currently, but the strategy looks to be in his benefit. Nevertheless, Chad Mikas in Domination Intimidation Racing get things going and bring the field back to green. Something we didn't see last night that is also very much apparent here is that those breakups on the early starts take a little while to come back from. It was usually 2x2 all throughout a run, even on that very beginning, but drivers, especially on the outside, having trouble keeping up with the leaders who get those jumps. It happens once again, and we've seen it break up the field. Not a significant problem or error, shall we say, but drivers have to take a lap or 2 to really accumulate themselves with respect to the front runners. So Chad Mikas gets some time up in the sun all alone, and he's got some assistance now in the form of Kyle Cooper, and the DIR guys are working together all the way up front. Josh Gallagher cuts to the inside, and it looks like now it's going to be the 26 of Ryan Bean. Bean takes it low. So does Bernheimer, and Sam Nieto decides to take it up topside as an immediate response. Bernheimer is still right there. Sam Nieto remains up on top, and drivers find their allegiance either on the top groove or on the low. Still a little bit of shuffling back and forth, bumper to bumper. Bernheimer looks to be all fine, but Sam Nieto has some front end damage. If you look close from the back end of the 73, it's clear that 22 is pounded in just a bit. Not a good look right now for Sam Nieto, and hopefully it's not any damage, but this could be the start of a big problem if the number 22, of course, doesn't find himself in the draft. If he's all alone, he might get caught out there for good. Chad Mikas still leading. This time around, though, he takes it up to the top side. He'll bring Kyle Cooper right there with. It seems like these two are very comfortable with working with one another, and that's where that veteran expertise comes into play. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, you got Josh Gallagher and Ryan Bean. Kevin Bernheimer also behind, and additionally, the 93 of Matt Sizzler. All drivers who have never raced each other in an Integrity event before, and you're seeing how that difference in confidence is really making waves. Usually, the bottom group has the advantage or can at least stay side by side directly, but evidently now we are not seeing that come into play. It looks like, in fact, the outside groove is getting away almost even through the entirety of a corner. The only difference maker happens to be all the side drafting back and forth among drivers. It's a little bit trickier to watch it happen, but Gallagher, even if there's a lack of pushing on the inside, has enough speed to just stay in the range of side drafting the outside groove. So even though it might be faster up top, they never can truly get away. And as such, everything stays rather even if the top group has the clear-cut advantage. Chad Mikus knows it, but he's got Kyle Cooper, and that's where that confidence really comes in. Kevin Bernheimer going to be P6, Don Runkle 7th, and Matt Sizzler in 8th. Runkle might not be a name you're all too familiar with if you've watched us for even the majority of an Integrity season, but Runkle has been with us for the most part anyway, since 2023. Part-time driver, he's made less than 10 starts across the 120 plus races we've had, but if you've watched those registration seats, John Runkle, he has been with us, so it's great to have him out once again in this field. And the 00 hopefully showing what could be the start of a multi-race season, something we haven't seen all too much of him course in recent months and recent years, but in 2023 he definitely was on that roster, making some brief appearances, and we were hoping to see more in 24. Didn't end up being the case. Nevertheless, right now Runkle is 14th, Jay Haitian is now in P15, and Jay is coming off a career best season in the Octane Series, coming away with his first ever podium and top 5 finish all in one. 06 got the job done in Talladega. He's going to be 15th place here. Bobby Keith is going to be now right alongside him, 2 by 2. Keith going with Jay. That's the 15th and 16th places they're still fighting for. Sean Kalis in number 9, he drops back, and a few other drivers decide to do the same thing. Scott Eckrich, well, you see him right there in that Chevrolet Camaro, decides to let 10 drivers get away, and now we've got a leading bundle, more confident in staying close and staying right on one another. So it'll be Chad Mikus, regular season contender in the Ignite Series, making his first ever Octane start in P1. Kyle Cooper, veteran of both series, both in Ignite and Octane competition. He's been with us for several years. He's running now in 2nd. Sam Nieto, 4-time race winner in the Octane Series, coming off of a winless campaign in 2024. He's running now in 3rd. Michael Krobuck making his very first start in the Octane world and his 2nd Integrity Racing competition. He's there in P4, and Josh Gallagher, first timer in the Tide Ride, the number 96, is in 5th. Brad Patton, when we were last here for a season opener with the Next Gens, it was 2023. We mentioned that Cody Smith won that race. 2nd place was Brad Patton. Patton got the job done, of course, to get in the top 3, but was oh so close to winning. Just couldn't make it happen. Brad right now is going to be right there in the 6th place seats. It looks like he's kept himself rather comfortable there as Ryan Bean runs in 7th. A little bit further back, we've got Josh Gallagher and Kevin Bernheimer, 8th and 9th respectively, and still fluttering up and down the order. Bernheimer in the number 28. Gallagher now finds himself right there too. Chad Mikus has a job that he hasn't done all night. He's coming up on a lapper. That will be the number 12 of Ross Cato. Cato's down low. The rest of the field is going to have to bounce up. Looks like no trouble there. The entirety of the field will get around Ross Cato. Ross does the right thing, keeps himself out of harm's way, and as a result, it's single file topside as the field decides to occupy the ceiling. Jay Haitian makes a rather abrupt move down to the bottom, looking for a little bit more assistance. Now just about a half-tenth, of course, away from getting up to the top 5 and a half-second overall for Jay Haitian to get the lead. Distances are minor, but of course the most important thing is minding time, which is going to come in now more than anything else. 24 laps in out of 40, which means we're coming up on the 16 lap to go marker. This time by, we've already passed halfway. We've only got a few laps to go for this very first duel. Duel number 2 begins immediately after this event, so stay tuned. just because this race ends doesn't mean the night of racing comes to a close. Matter of fact, it won't even be halfway by the time the checkered flag falls in this running. And perhaps that comes to the advantage of the drivers in that second duel, getting all this time to watch and learn as drivers put themselves to the test. Currently, it looks like Kyle Cooper is one of those drivers testing himself up and in front, doing a pretty solid job of just that. 50 minutes overall, that's what's on the clock, and we are comfortably looking to make it to the very end based on how we've run this race so far. 2 yellow flags, and now getting ourselves settled in, single file. 15 laps to go. Running up topside, even the double file racing has now come to a brief close. It's going to come back again when we fight for the win, but it looks like now single file is dominant. Perhaps the most unexpected of circumstances, we're seeing calmer racing after early erratic cautions, meaning now maybe the drivers have heeded those warnings and instead taking them to heart, which is a good thing to see if we want to see more long-form racing, and this is all preparation for our main event next week. For those of you watching live on FTN right now, this is only the qualifying showdown for our Daytona 250. And that 250-mile event will come very soon. It's going to become only a week's distance away when we get to the checkered flag of this event. Next Tuesday night at 9 o'clock p.m., 100 laps of Next-Gen Racing coming at you from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. 45-plus drivers have qualified for this race. Nearly 60 have registered, and it's going to be a showdown well worth watching. So, if you're enjoying tonight's coverage so far already, please make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to become notified about what's due to come. This qualifying race is intense in itself, but that's only because it sets the field for the big show in one Tuesday's time. Kyle Cooper remains second. Michael Krobach remains P3. Scott Eckridge is going to be fourth. Only for a little bit more competition now, the Wanted Goons Toyota Camry heads down to the bottom. Enter Brad Patton. Brad's got it down low, but it looks like no momentum to get up to the race lead. He's only holding steady in the top 5. And we'll see whether or not that outside groove can find any challenge once again. It looked like after a reign of dominance from the inside last night, it's been the opposite so far today. Instead of seeing that bottom groove come to control, we've seen the top side have the advantage when it comes to teamwork, momentum, and now the outright race comes out of the big difference. Of course, the number 25 holding fort up and ahead. Maybe that bottom groove doesn't have enough time to get things going the way things are, but Brad Patton is trying to organize things, and now he might have just found a saving grace. Kevin Bernheimer, the number 28 here. How many of the rookies will be willing to take a chance? That's another big question we haven't asked just yet. These drivers might not be as willing to take risks only because this is their very first try around. So now, Bernheimer decides to be the first of them, and he will take a ride to the front of the field. He's got it low, and now he's got some assistance. Brad Patton, shoving that number 28 up to the front of the field, is looking to put an end to the reign of dominance from Chad Mikas. And here you have it. Bernheimer P1, Brad Patton second. And that's the way they roll now as the number 7 heads up high. It's 2x2 again, and this time through the inside has control. Sam Nieto decides to take control of pushing Bernheimer here. It's going to be instead the number 2 and the number 28 alongside each other as we come across the line to make it only 10 laps to go in Daytona. Your first duel deciding who starts on the inside row, which means from third on down. The winner of this duel would start in third. Then the second place finisher would start fifth, so on and so forth. John Steele, of course, grabbing the official pole position based on his quick time results. and Patton now holds the field in his hands. Chad Mikas swerves down to the bottom. For the very first time, he uses it down low and comes back up. Very few drivers in sim racing, and we sometimes see this in real life, but it very rarely works out here, can dominate and control two grooves. That's the big challenge when it comes down to being the individual up in front of the field. Unless you got teammates who can help you out in controlling one line, doing both by yourself is nearly impossible in the sim racing setting. Very few drivers will think about the physical consequences of making contact with you. It won't hurt anyone physically. It's certainly going to leave some bruised feelings, but it doesn't mean there's any harm to it. So you'll see more aggressive defense. You'll see more aggressive offense when it comes to racing style. As a result, controlling both lines becomes very tricky. If nobody backs off, it means that some of your chances where you take that chance based on safety's sake, they don't exist any longer. Chad Mikas on the top side here has decided not to relegate himself to the bottom again. He did it once. It looks like once was just enough for your race leader. Michael's got it good on the top side, and looks like Krobuk is using that Monday night experience to help himself out. This is one thing where even running double duty is an edge over a first-time starter. Michael, we saw him last night. He proved to be rather competent, and that's a very good thing. As long as you do the right thing, keep yourself out of trouble, you'll gain that respect and earn that trust. This is going to be tricky, though. Firesh! Brad Patton has to dive deep, and he almost gets involved with the lapper, swerving ever so slightly back and forth. Randy Fiash nearly causing trouble. He's trying to get in the pack there. Sam Nieto is blocked, and he's definitely not happy. Shoving that 54, trying to get him out of the way. Can't quite do it. Nieto is nose to tail with Fiash here. One lap down, and he's got damage too. What is going on here? Luckily, nobody else gets involved, but that could have been real tricky. Patton nearly swerves down to the apron. Talk about clutch avoidance. Kevin Bernheimer, nevertheless, he's got himself now making moves. That was risky. Luckily, the field gets away. 6 laps remaining. Chad Mikas heads up high. Michael Krobuk is now P2. And Kevin Bernheimer, of course, is going to find himself working on the podium. Kyle Cooper going to remain double file here. And the best part of that all was that every driver remained confident, even though it was a rather shaky situation. You see now Ryan Bean is going to fall back. But for all that we saw there and all what could have been, it's a double file formation, and it did not waver. That's the big thing. Everyone's strong enough in their positions to hold, even when there's times of uncertainty. If the field were to scatter there, we could have seen total disaster. But it looks like we avoid that fate. Coming across the line for 5 laps to go, it's lap number 36 of 40, and the home stretch is here and now. Michael Krobuk on the bottom side, now getting that assistance from Kyle Cooper. It looks like it's going to be Kevin Bernheimer. Mikas having another rookie to work with, and it looks like Bernheimer now having a veteran. Will the new drivers pull it off, or will the old dogs get it done? Now, with a little bit of a shake back and forth, the questions begin to rise. Will we go to overtime? Any other caution flag from this point will send us into green-white checkered territory. Keep that in mind here. It will extend the race beyond 40 laps. We saw that last night in duel number 1. The race ended up finishing under caution as a result. 4 laps to go. Bernheimer leads. Chad Mikas is just a few 100ths of a second away from taking the top spot here. A little bit of a weave back and forth for Kyle Cooper, but he looks to be secure in his efforts. Number 73 at Cooper finding himself down on the bottom. Bernheimer remains right there with 4 drivers breaking away. 4 laps to go this time around. Back of the field is still all together. Chad Mikas goes 3 wide here with the number 70 of Scott Eckridge. Scott up top, and it looks like now he's going to keep himself on that third groove. One driver headed to the bottom of the track entirely. That was the 93 of Matt Sizzler. Matt looks like he gets away from it, but he's working back and forth on that apron, hoping he doesn't cause himself any trouble here. 3 laps to go, this time by Bernheimer. Now getting that push back and forth, and he's pushed out of the train. Here comes Brad Patton and the 22 of Sam Nieto surging up front. 2 of the veterans with 2 laps to go, this time by. The final 5 miles await the field, and it's now a tandem up at the front. Got the race lead. Two laps to go. Time is running out. Chad Mikas now finds himself down. It's a big contact. Bernheimer getting away from it. It looks like it's one driver in Crowbuck, but Ryan Bean, Sam Nieto, the 70 involved as well as Scott Eckridge. We are going to overtime. Take a look back. Nasty hits all involved. Less than 2 laps away from making it official. Here's the issue. Bernheimer tries to go for a 3-wide maneuver. Patton blocks up ever so slightly, sends the number 28 in. Nieto collects Eckridge. Crowbuck barely gets away. Chad Mikas dives down to the bottom, but in the meanwhile, the number 26 gets hit. That's Ryan Bean. Bean gets Sizzler. And then Cooper collected, as is the 96 of Josh Gallagher. John Steele, he tries to get it put together fully. It looks like he just barely avoids contact, Steele, but it's a smoke show. Bernheimer, Bean, Nieto, Eckridge still collecting themselves as the wreck came to an end. Third yellow flag of the day, and much like our previous duel number 1, we are going to overtime. Three laps remaining, and time still to spare. It's going to be Brad Patton holding forward as your leader. Bobby Keith is in second, and Michael Crowbuck is in now, finds himself second on the outside group. He's third overall. Pit road doesn't look like it's going to be busy, so we have a little bit of time to spare in between the action. We'd like to thank our friends and our new partners in the Integrity Racing League program, Sim Motion, first and foremost of which, and Next Level Racing. We'd like to thank them both for their continued efforts, and we got some discount codes flashing on your screen. For Sim Motion, if you'd like to save 5% on their equipment, they're a vendor and a well-trusted one at that. Visit their website and save 5%. Promo code INTEGRITY at us.sim-motion.com or scan the QR code on your screen. We'd like to thank SimMotion for coming aboard for the 2025 campaign and extending Integrity Racing League's partnership with the most prolific and well-esteemed businesses in motorsport. In addition, Next Level Racing's been with us since the end of 2022, and we still have them to this day. We'd like to thank Next Level Racing for their continued efforts with our brand here at Integrity and FTN Broadcasting. Save 5% with promo code INTEGRITY24 at nextlevelracing.com for sim racing cockpits and additional hardware that you can't beat. Or, of course, check out the QR code on your screen for additional information. All items will be processed at both websites at 5% off discount. So with that said, amazing discount for amazing hardware and equipment. Check out SimMotion and Next Level Racing today. We can't thank them enough for their continued support, as now with 3 laps to go, we're going to overtime next time through. Overtime procedure, we tested it for the first time last night, and it came to an ultimatum. We only have one overtime attempt left on the table for these drivers, so if they mess up, it's over. No matter what, the race will be official on this run. If a caution flies, well, of course, the big problem is that's it. Yellow flag waves, things slow down, iRacing scoring loops determine where a driver finishes, and so we come to the checkered flag pacing. However, if we get to the white flag, the race is official and every driver races to the checkered under green. No stopping from there, no matter how many drivers are involved in an incident. It's checkers or records. Caution would end this run, end this duel prematurely. However, we could get an opportunity to get a little bit more racing in. 2 laps or nothing. That's what it comes down to here. Yellow flag would bring it all to an end. And with this being our one and only chance, expect drivers to try and stay rather calm on that first lap. Last night, unfortunately, with our duel 1 overtime, we ended about 500 feet after we crossed the start-finish line. Another yellow flag immediately flew out. Brad Patton will hold control. Bobby Keith will be up in front for the first time tonight. Bobby finding himself up and away here. It looks like the number 92 getting a shot to the point. Let's see what he can do on the outside groove here. A well-timed restart could be the difference between victory and defeat, especially based on what we saw last night. So for Bobby, a lot on the line here, and hopefully things come out well for the driver of that number 92. Brad Patton lies low. Bobby Keith is right up top. We'll head back at it once again with Patton in control. Green-white checkered in our one and only overtime attempt for duel number 1. Finishing off our first race of the night strong with a 2-lap shootout. Green flag goes through. Brad Patton with a major jump. Michael Krobuk jumps immediately to the high side. Michael now going to take it up top, and it looks like he's comfortable there with some good assistance in the form of Bobby Keith. But watch out now for Brad Patton and Chad Mikus. The 92 turns going away. Bobby Keith into the infield. Everyone else stays green. No call on the field for a yellow flag just yet. Brad Patton swerves up high. 1 lap to go. One driver spins. Everyone else is just fine. We're coming across for our one final lap. It's the last attempt on the table. This is it. White flags out. This race is official. 3 wide now for second, becomes 2 wide for first. Michael Krobuk heads down to the bottom with a head full of steam. Right behind him, he's got the support of Josh Gallagher, but Brad Patton, eager to make a move, will pull through. Chad Mikus, staying right on his inside, goes deeper. The 25, right down low. Patton, nothing he can do now but watch. Brad gonna find himself in the middle. Down to the inside, Chad Mikus. Mikus is pulling away, but is it too early? It just might be. Side by side, Krobuk and Patton coming to the checkered flag, though. No match for the 25. Checkered flag falls. Chad Mikus wins duel number 1. Continuing his legacy as one of the strongest Daytona qualifiers in this league, Chad does it again. Pole sitter in the Ignite race last year. Duel number 1 winner in 2025. Chad's first ever Octane race is a victory. Duel number 1 is his. Second is Brad Patton. Kyle Cooper in third. The veterans come away on top. We're going to speak now to your Duel 2 winner. Of course, our Duel 1 winner and Duel 2 winner we'll both speak to. First and foremost, we'll get the man in the number 25 up to the broadcast booth and hear what's going on for Chad Mikas. Chad collecting his first ever Octane win in his first ever start. A great way to get things going. Looks like right now Chad is not available for comment. We're looking for official confirmation, but for the time being it does not look like he's with us, so we'll try to get him in momentarily. In the meantime, your starting grid is already loading up for duel number 2, so let's get downstairs and take a look at who's who for your second running. This time around, it's going to be Brian Yaksic with inside of row number 1 honors. Eric McFarlane will find himself then in second. You'll have Brandon Lambert, then P3. Jared Davis, who registered last night, the number 19, coming in strong. He'll be P4. Ryan Vaughn, a rookie, in 5th. Then you got Zach Skrintenthal in P6. Cody Smith for Next Level Racing gonna find himself in the 7th spot. Taylor Story 8th, and Michael Stroll in the number 8. He's there in P9. John DeBarro is gonna be the number 61. 10th place on the day. Nicholas Ward is 11th. 12th will be Eric Thornton. Chris Schetzler is going to be P13, and Don Stevenson is in the row behind. A few drivers seem to be missing, including Thornton. 14th place will be Nate Campbell, and league owner Jacob Fife will be 15th place, with Eli Cars in 16th, coming back from last year. Blake Cannon in 17th. 18th going to Don Stevenson. Jim Fife going to find himself 19th. Great to see the Fife family coming back. Jim making his first start in either series. Chad Dillon will be 20th. Lastly, Nick Tarba will be 21st and last in the order. So drivers getting themselves prepared, and it's going to be an exciting night of racing. Right after we get things started, we're going to bring in your winner from duel number 1, Chad Mikas. When the green flag flies, we'll give it a lap, and we'll get to talking with Chad, the number 25 team, who get the job done to open up his Octane Series career and the season with a win. iRacing official pace car doing the honors one more time. 3 cautions in 2 of our 3 duels across both nights. 4 cautions in our first in the Ignite series. Overtime finishes have been seen twice, but last night, Duel 2 didn't have to resort to such measures. Let's see now with the rookie, the number 55, leading the field, whether or not the rest of the new crop can handle the tough stuff. Green flag flies, Yaksic gets control, Eric McFarlane on the high side, and it's time to go back at it again. Double trouble in Daytona. Welcome to Octane Series Duel 2. Eric McFarlane holds control as we get things going for duel number 2. Currently, track seems to be rather clear, sunny skies, and it looks like nothing else in sight. Racing circuit is clean and green, and we're going to get things going, but first we'll speak to the driver in that number 25. That, of course, will be Chad Mikas, the number 25 team winning duel number 1 in Chad's very first Octane Series attempt. So let's get a word from the man who gets it through, Chad Mikas, in the broadcast booth with us now. And for Chad, of course, his first ever Octane Series race. And Chad, now that you're with us, how about a great way to start your season, winning a duel?
Yeah, man, I was really bummed last night I didn't get get the W in that second Ignite Series duel. So just kind of did what I could tonight. Didn't have any of my teammates with me tonight, which is a little weird. So just tried to get to the front and stay there as long as possible. And honestly, I think I controlled most of that duel. So it was a lot of fun. I haven't driven these cars in probably about two years or so now. So it's nice to be back in a cup car.
And the Octane Series also making that return to these Cup cars. Been a long time coming for a lot of drivers, so seems like tonight you came in and had rather confident speed all throughout. Anything in particular about how it drives compared to maybe the past that spoke to you? Any big differences, shall we say?
Not so much. Just forget how loose the steering is in these cars with the rack and pinion steering. So it's just it took me a little bit of practice time to kind of get used to that again, and try to hold a pretty wheel the entire race. And I just tried to make as many moves in practice just to kind of figure out where I wanted to be at the end of the race, which ended up working for me there. That pass on Brad. So kind of figured that out. Just tried to protect the top side at all costs because I know that side draft is killer, and if you let someone get there, you're pretty much a sitting duck. So.
And with that said, your very first attempt here in the Octane Series. We saw you in the Ignite Duels last night. Maybe you're going to go for some double duty action all throughout the year?
Yeah, I definitely going to do full-time on Mondays. I'm going to try to make as many races as I can on Tuesday. Depending, my girlfriend doesn't get mad at me. Definitely committed to at least a part-time schedule at this point. I think plate tracks for sure. I'll be here. Want to try to do some more road racing too. That's my favorite form of racing with the stock cars. I just have a blast, just letting them loose and turning left and right. So, but we'll see. We'll see how Daytona goes. If I have a good enough run, maybe I'll stick it out and try to run the full season. You never know.
And that's something we'd like to see. The 25 team has been coming on strong, especially as of late, with a very strong Integrity season, end-to-end with the Ignite campaign in 2024. One thing to note that we'd like to ask about the duels specifically. You've now had experience in both nights, seeing the duels, first and second as they've come. Well, I have to ask you, do you think the advantage comes in being in the first duel or the second duel when it comes to having a strong run? Does the experience of getting it firsthand prove preferable, or would you rather be one of the drivers here who watched, learned, and now they're at it?
Man, that's a tough question, especially with how different the cars are Monday to Tuesday. Last night, I kind of had a feel for it. It's just like putting on a pair of shoes and, getting back at it. I'm so used to the Xfinity car. I know what to expect and how to race those. This car, I'm kind of glad we went out first. I try not to show everything that I'm capable of, but it should be pretty exciting to see how this race goes. Usually have one fairly clean race, and the second one's usually not so clean, a little rough and fun. I have a lot of faith in everybody who runs in this league. The admins at Integrity definitely have made this into a big powerhouse league, and there's lots of talent here. So it's tough for me to say one over the other. I think just the varying levels of talent here, and just seeing how aggressive everyone is, it's you're gonna learn no matter what. So.
And with that said, Duel 2 well on its way now, but Chad Mikas, Duel 1 winner to kick off the night here in the Octane Series, and of course, a full-time competitor on Monday nights as well. Good luck for both races coming up next week, and thank you again for stopping by.
Thanks, David. Appreciate you, buddy. Doing a hell of a job already this year. I'm excited to see all the broadcasts, so keep it up.
Chad Mikas on the way, the number 25. Got to thank him once again, of course, for the kind words and the great performances. Getting that first duel win, a real big deal for the 25 crew, and of course now, We got to see what's next. Cody Smith, although we haven't really covered it directly, he's led the good majority of this opening stint. Next Level Racing's number 18 is looking rather confident up at the front of the field, and for good reason. Looks like currently, though, Brandon Lambert and Nicholas Ward are also going at it as well. A few of these drivers you might know, a few of them you might not. Nicholas Ward, so many drivers weren't able to get a victory last year, thanks to the dominance of the big three. But if there's any driver I have to point at as perhaps the perennial bridesmaid in octane competition, unfortunately it has to be this man, Nicholas Ward. He has been a wonderful competitor with us for now more than a year and a half. I mean, we're coming up on our third season with Ward at the helm. He's been with us since the beginning of 2023. His best ever performance came in the fall of 23. It was the Bristol Motor Speedway. To date, that was Tom Wetmore's last win, but it was also the regular season finale in 2023. Ward needed to win that race in order to make it into the playoffs. He led, give or take, a quarter of that event, and he was very strong coming down to the final 50-some laps. Just could not get the job done. Tried desperately to get it through, but pace at the very end disappeared, and that was the difference between victory and defeat. Ward, by all accounts, has proven a strong driver. He's gotten many a top 5 and, of course, quite a few top 10s racked up over the past 2 years, but hasn't gotten himself an official win to this point. Cody Smith, we mentioned it before, when it comes down to firsts, he and Rob Ackley have something in common. They're the first ever winners in these two respective series. And Cody Smith, he got the ball rolling for the Octane Series in Daytona. Now it's coming up on nearly 2 years ago to the date. He and Brad Patton were in that drag race, and while Patton came out on the losing end, it was, of course, Cody who got things done and collected the checkered flag on his own accord. Michael Stroll, great to have him, of course, on the Monday Night Tour full-time once again, but the Domination Intimidation Racing owner is now racing in the number 8 tonight in his very first Octane Series campaign. One of the pioneers who got the ball rolling on the Ignite Series deal and bringing FTN to the Integrity Racing League, now taking that step back as a full-time driver in both capacities. He is 5th place right now in the number 8, and he's got that Ralph Earnhardt throwback paint scheme going. You can see the creamier white and the dark red 8 kicking it back to when it all began for the Earnhardt family some 75 years ago. Eric McFarland doing double time. He's in the number 33, and not only all the Octane Series races, but also now for the Ignite Series. We saw him last season in the Tuesday Night Tour. Great to have him back once again. He's currently running a strong 6th and looks for some room to improve as his teammate John Steele grabs the pole position for this race. Jared Davis is coming in late for the season, and even though he registered only last night, he's a driver you gotta watch out for. He's got a 4.99 safety rating and a 6,500 I rating, which is the highest of anyone in this lobby. By all accounts, Davis is a sim racing powerhouse. You might know the name from Road to Pro circles or NASCAR experience in general. He's a driver who does not slouch, and there's a good reason he's here with us tonight. Nick Tarbuck is doing double time, and he's back once again. Nick in the number 4 is a multi-time winner in this series, a member of the 2024 Big 3 with 4 race victories, and now he has 5 to his name in his career. He's gotten himself wins in both 2023 and 2024, something that very few drivers can attest to. He, Don Stevenson, and Ethan Lane can lay claim to that honor of winning in both years of the Octane Series existence so far, including getting the job done at Daytona to kick off the year in 2024. So Nick knows what it's like. He's gotten a victory in this very event. He's gotten victories in the Next Gen and Gen 4. He's proven versatile. He's proven very quick with that raw speed. And his strategy game is oftentimes some of the best in the field. He's running 10th right now, and he's one to watch out for. Chad Dillon, great to have the John Deere number 32 in the mix. He's a rookie. His story is due to be told this year. Same goes for John DeBarro and Nate Campbell. Nate is in the 45, John is in the 61, and right now they're running in the middle of this leading grouping. Then you've got, of course, Zach Scrintenall, that's the number 20. Zach also a first-time starter, and Brian Yaksik, who had the pole position for this run. Brandon Lambert, also one of those rookies. Unfortunately, not a lot we can talk about with the statistical numbers for a lot of these guys. They have still yet to make their debuts in official capacity. Taylor Story up at the front of the field is more of the same, and it looks like right now we're lapping Eric Thornton. Eric is now one lap down after missing the start of this race and beginning on pit road. Chris Schitzler's coming off of his very first podium position as well, and he finds himself running in the 17th position. Schitzler, shall we say, is now running with a two-car grouping behind him in Don Stevenson and Jim Fife. It'll be Schitzler 17th, Stevenson in 18th and 19th for Fife, and then rounding out the top 20 is Ryan Vaughn in the number 59. Ryan looks to be alone here and doesn't really have anyone else with him, so hopefully he gets a saving grace tonight, although with the way things are looking, he's not in the best of spots to capitalize on this race. Farland across the line for lap number 17. He's your new race leader, running side by side with Nicholas Ward. Interestingly enough, Jacob Fife we haven't mentioned, and Fife last night making his brand new paint scheme debut. He's run the same paint scheme with the same sponsorship from, of course, Sim Motion. Next Level Racing also on the side of that number 36. Fife, as our league owner, has been with us since the beginning in 2012, and he's still rolling strong. When it comes down to successes, he's one of the all-time best in this league. 4 victories in the Octane Series, and last year he was at long last able to break through and come away for his first Ignite Series win in Talladega. Since that point, Jacob has been able to come to victory lane in additional times since on the Monday night schedule, but it's been since 2023 Jacob hasn't won here in the Octane Series. So all eyes are on Jacob to maybe go back to those old winning ways. A lot of drivers weren't able to do so last year simply because it became the Ethan Lane and Michael O'Raya show, with a little bit of Nick Tarbuck sprinkled in between. Cautions out for the first time tonight. Taylor Story ends up in the wall with some damage here. Instant replay will show you what happened. Taylor Story getting some contact there. Looks like it comes from the 82, and that takes him up the track. Eli Cars hitting Taylor Story, and the number 30 ends up slamming up top. Luckily, nobody else involved, but a safety caution brings the field to rest. First caution of the day, Nicholas Ward scored as your race leader, and now we're looking forward to our first pit stop cycle of the night, in Duel 2 anyway. Looks like we're going to be going for about a 50-50 split. I'd be shocked if drivers come into pit road after this point. It's not impossible. It might happen, but 19 laps in, and we'll have less than 19 to go when we return. This looks like the perfect time to head to pit road, splash and, of course, go again. Ward with control will head down to pit road, and with them, Tarbuck, Smith, and number 8 of Michael Stroll. It looks like with Nicholas deciding to stay out, Michael Stroll doesn't go for it. Instead, Jacob Fife decides to bring down the better part of the field. It looks like from 7th on down, at least for the most part here, drivers decide to head in. Jacob deciding to hedge those bets on just getting some slightly fresher equipment, and it's going to be a near 50-50 split. Jacob now finds himself the 10th place driver and cycling out a little bit further. 1st through 9th stay out. So that'd be Scrintenall in 9th, Nate Campbell is in 8th, Jared Davis is in 7th, John DeBarro is in P6, Eric McFarland is 5th, Michael Stroll is in 4th, 3rd place is Cody Smith, Nick Tarbuck is in 2nd, and Nicholas Ward is P1. We'll come back with less than half of this race to go, but for now we'll take a brief message from our friends at iRacing.com. iRacing Motorsport Simulations has led the sim racing scene since 2008, and if you'd like to join the fun live on FTN Broadcasting, well, sign up today. iRacing.com. Discounted membership offers are all throughout the year, but there's no better time to start than now for your sim racing journey. If you subscribe today, you'll come fully equipped with more than a dozen free cars and free tracks at your disposal you can use in online official races or hosted races with your friends. Check out iRacing.com today with 20 laps on the docket. We're watching the 2025 Octane Duels, and you're watching Duel number 2 live on FTN. We'll be right back after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Nicholas Ward lies down low, and that might be because he's saving a little bit of fuel. He's one of the few drivers who decided to stay out. 1st through 9th have stayed out on the circuit. The rest of the field from 10th on down, led by Jacob Fife, head down to pit road. So we've got ourselves quite the split in strategy. We're going to find out who's right this time by. You know, we're coming up on lap number 22 with this restart, which means, as per usual, it's about time that we crank it up live on FTN. I'd like to thank our friends at TrackCams22.com who have brought us excellent camera angles ever since FTN caught on with Integrity in 2023, and they've been bringing us some of the best views in the business ever since. Visit TrackCams22.com or Facebook.com/track Cams for additional information on how to register for iRacing's leading camera service. The best broadcasters choose the best cameras, and so it's about time we put them to the test. It's been loud, it's been fast, it's been great racing, and for our first restart in duel number 2, both Nicholas Ward and Nick Tarbuck get to lead the field to green. We've seen them side by side before, and now they're back once again. Veterans, lock out the front row for your first restart as we are going to crank it up now at lap number 22. Brought to you by TrackCams22.com. Let's get back to green flag racing. Ward gets the jump on the inside and we're underway once again. 15 laps remaining this time around, and it looks like, as it stands, it's still going to be Zach Scrintinol in the number 20 up and ahead. Zach getting through. He's got Eric McFarland with him. Down on the bottom, Cody Smith and Jared Davis. Personally, of all the rookies that have come in based on name alone, I think I'd be one of the more excited ones for Jared Davis. A lot of strong drivers already that we've proven out of this rookie crop, but Davis having that name power to him, maybe the iRacing circles, gives a bit of a different flair. But that's the exciting thing about Integrity. Some of these drivers have made almost careers out of sim racing. Ethan Lane, for one, a driver who we know is Coke Series caliber, racing with us on Tuesday nights. Not to mention a driver like Jared Davis or other NASCAR talents coming through. Matt Busa of the Coke Series, he cut his teeth in the Integrity Racing League. That's just one example of a talent that has come past this series as well. So to keep it in mind, you have those drivers who have been here for a long period of time and have taken sim racing seriously, but you also have drivers who come on the circuit once a week, and this might be their only race. And with that being said, contact Cody Smith. Smith in the wall, straightens it out immediately. We're still going, but that could have been nasty. Smith and Ward will lose momentum big time. I think Cody's got some significant damage. Can he bow out in time? He's backed up big, and he's on the high side. That's even worse. Trying to get a better look here at Cody Smith, but it's hard to tell whether or not he can keep on going with the damage he has just accumulated. It looks like he should be fine, but anything worse, any harder of a slam, and that could have been his night, and most likely would have been a caution. All things considered, although very undesirable, a good job from Smith to get it straightened out very fast. Hanging in the wall there for even more than a second and a half would have been the difference between a yellow flag and exactly what we're seeing right now as we're still going green. Zach Scrintinol is still there in first. With him, John DeBarro, Blake Cannon, Brandon Lambert, and Blake Cannon up in front. Notable because he's leading the drivers on new tires. Usually when we mention those new tire drivers, they all come up in sequence, but doesn't look like right now they've got any form or function. Blake Cannon, by coincidence anyway, is with two other drivers on new rubber, but a lot of those guys who have held on to the old tire are still in front. It looks like overall, if we base it on the entirety of the top 10, old rubber was the way to go. Drivers who have that track position are still holding on by and large. There's a few differences, including, of course, now your current leader in Cannon, but that's a discrepancy that hasn't really been accounted for when you consider the other 15, 16 drivers in this pack. If you go by the numbers, Cannon is an outlier, and really, we can't credit that success to having new rubber here. Coming to 10 laps to go next time by. 30 laps in out of 40. We've gone for a rapid session here for duel number 2. We'll hear from your pole sitter, John Steele, after this. Steele will be interviewed immediately following your Duel 2 winner, so we'll have a little bit more time post-race to catch up with the guys who have succeeded all throughout the night. Brandon Lambert is in second, and Brian Yaksik is there in third. Nicholas Ward is P4 with Eli Carr's fifth. Chris Schietzler is going to be there in second, of course in his groove as he gets turned. Schietzler goes around. Big incident with Cody Smith, Nick Tarbuck, Nicholas Ward, and the 32 of Chad Dillon. Cautions out, Schietzler involved, and the yellow flag flies for the second time tonight. A little bit of bobbling on that apron. Ward gets loose. It looked like he had it saved. Then Schietzler's involved, and they hit each other while both trying to save it. Unfortunately, catching up to that apron twice was the difference maker. Racing incident at high speeds. Jacob Fife involved as well. He ends up in the wall. Cody Smith, more of the same. Second caution. Any other yellow flags put us in jeopardy of seeing an overtime finish. We're in a tight situation now as drivers head toward the finale of this event. Chad Dillon bumping back and forth there with the 24. Schetzler doesn't look like it's anything too serious. And we'll keep on going here. 10 laps to go. Blake Kent is your race leader. Lambert second. Brian Yaksic is P3. Single-digit laps remaining. We're down to 9. So we're coming to that final stretch officially as a few drivers come in for damage repair or an additional top-up. Some drivers have stayed out since the very beginning of this race. Others are coming in for their second pit stop. A few drivers will leave it at 1. Notably, everyone now in your top 10 with the exception of whoever wins off pit road. And it looks like we're still deciding that will have gone in at least once. But of course, some drivers now going for that 2-time. Eric McFarland wins off pit road there. Ryan Vaughn having trouble getting in. The lone holdouts are currently John DeBarro, Michael Stroll, Zach Skrintenall, Jared Davis, Nate Campbell, who have decided to stay out since the very start of this race. We'll see if it's the right call, but for now, a few drivers have held out, a few drivers have gone for one pit stop, and now the bottom half of the field has gone for their second. We'll head back green with about 7 laps to go. A little bit of time in between live on FTN, so we'll bring you some brief non-stop coverage. Thank you for tuning into the Octane Series duels with post-race coverage coming up, and some more racing action will return after our messages from sponsors and associates. We'll be right back after this. You're watching FTN Broadcasting. Stay tuned. You won't miss a thing under green.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Seven laps to go and we go green. It's about time we get back to the racing. Any other yellow flags will put us at risk for an overtime finish. Hopefully, of course, we don't have to go that route and we can finish things strongly under green. Blake Cannon leads on his outside. Brandon Lambert in the number 46. Additionally, Brian Yaksic, your pole sitter to kick off this duel, and Eli Kars, who found himself, of course, involved in the first incident. Looks like he's made a strong recovery, and the 82 is backing up in front. Second restart of the duel. Overall, it will be your 5th restart of the night. And it looks like right now this duel has been ever so slightly cleaner, but with time to spare, that could change. We'll see at the very most 4 cautions in this duel. That's if things really hit the fan. We should be able to avoid the rest of them from here. Blake Cannon gets things going, and Blake shoots off big. He'll have Lambert behind him, and Blake leaves Brandon a spot down low. Top two drivers, Cannon and Lambert, get away strongly, and the rest of the field is due to fight alongside one another. You've got Yaksik now with the number 20 of Skrintinol. You got John DeBarro and Nate Campbell, all of which now trying to find that room and the reason to get on the inside of one another. Don Stevenson making some shooting up moves up top. It looks like he's going to have a chance now to get to the front of the field. Stevenson's been rather quiet today in that number 47 in the next-gen era. He came away with one victory at the Charlotte Roval in October of 2023. He's back now. He was dominant in that race, but overall he's only gotten himself one win since. It came at a superspeedway style circuit though. That was last summer in the Atlanta Superspeedway trim. As a result, you gotta wonder, does Don Stevenson have what it takes here? He's in 12th. Keep an eye on the 47. It looks like now he's purposefully lying back. Does he have a plan to win this one? Or does he have nothing left for us here? Big question. A lot of drivers are really a what if with all this time remaining. Blake Cannon coming across once more, and that's going to be for 5 laps to go. 36 laps in out of 40 for this one. It looks like it's going to be Blake and Zach and Nate and Michael Stroll, the fast four up top. Much like duel number 1, you're starting to see that accumulation to the high side, taking it all the way up top instead of waiting for the bottom or middle grooves. You're going to see some drivers instead try to make it work with one line. And if you want to control the momentum, it looks like tonight you have to control the ceiling. That's why Blake Cannon has taken his company there with them. Rather confident it looks like Zach Skrintinol is for a rookie. The number 20's done a real good job of making moves and doing so unafraid. Last podium for the previous duel, no rookies came away on the top 3, and so far the veterans have won every duel so far. But now with Zach to the point, that could change. 4 laps remaining, and now it's going to be the rookies pushing each other. Campbell now pushing Zach up top. Take a ride on board now with Campbell's 45. Bumper to bumper down the straightaways, you gotta leave a little bit of room through the corners, but Campbell, he's given a little bit even through as we go just beyond turns 3 and 4. That's one big advantage of having these next gens compared to those Gen 4 stock cars. You can at least try and push no matter where you are on track. You won't lift up the other driver, but you can sure give them a good shoving. Michael Stroll involved. Eli Cars, we're going to overtime. Nicholas Ward also gets a massive hit. Caution's out. 2 laps to go in duel number 2. Watch this one. And it comes down to a brief incident. Eli Cars finding him down low through 3. And this is what happens. He comes up on Michael Stroll, hits him, takes him to the wall. The number 61 of John DeBarro also involved. And Nicholas Ward, major front end hit as well. Michael Stroll's front end damage looks to be major. Not sure if he can get back out there on track at speed. 3 to go, and it looks like now big issues for some strong contenders. As we take it to your live feed, Eli Cars is still rolling. Michael Stroll, meanwhile, it looks like now he's on pit road, getting himself fixed up. He's out of frame. And solo rookie, Zach Skrintinol, is up on top. If there's a yellow flag for the rest of this race, it ends prematurely, and scoring loops determine your winner. If the white flag flies, we race to the checkered flag under green. We'll head back with 2 laps remaining, and once again, a little bit of time to spare. We'd like to thank our friends at Next Level Racing and SimMotion one more time. For promotional codes, check out Integrity24 at nextlevelracing.com for 5% off all sim rig needs and 5% off at SimMotion using promo code Integrity, one of the most trusted sim racing vendors on the market at us.simmotion.com. Scan the QR codes on your screen today, and you can check out their line of products, a full array for all of your sim racing needs. We're going to be coming back in 2 laps time. We'll give you some final promotional break until we have your last 2 laps and your post-race coverage. You're watching the Octane Series Duels. We'll return right after this.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Final shootout for the night here in the Octane Series, and this is it. A reminder, with 2 laps to go, it only comes down to a yellow flag or a checkered flag. If we get to the white, we race without interruption. If the yellow flag falls, well, in that case, it's over. Scoring loops determine who gets the race victory. Unfortunately, we've seen both outcomes. We saw the caution last night, and tonight, luckily, we got the green flag ending. So it could go either way, and this means that 3 of our 4 duels will end in an overtime scenario. Drivers are set up, and it will be 2 new drivers. At the front of the field, you've got Zach Scrintinall on the inside, and you've got the outside held by Nate Campbell, with Blake Cannon and Brian Yaksik, 3rd and 4th. Yaksik, of course, 4th place. Top 5 concluded by Jacob Fife, and then the veterans come in 4, and you've got Tarbuck, you've got Schetzler, you've also got Jim Fife, who's running in 11th here. Although the new breed has held rather strong in this duel, there's been no true dominant force. Zach trying to change things in that regard. Cody Smith was running very strong early. Unfortunately now, he's in 20th. The iRacing official pace car gets ready to lock it in once again, and it's going to park for the night unless there's any other trouble. White flag means we go till it's done. Yellow flag means the race is over. Welcome to green, white, checkered racing for duel number 2. Zach gets things going. Blake Cannon immediately follows. We're 2 by 2. Hopefully we just make it around for the white. 5 miles, 2 laps. That's the test. Watching the weaving and the bobbling back and forth, this could be race ending. Every moment matters here. And it looks like one driver goes down. That'll be Eric Thornton. He gets out of the way. The field stays just fine. 4 wide briefly, but we're still put together. 3 wide, back of the field. Double file up front. And Brian Yaksik, the pole sitter, is up on top of the board once again. With Jacob Fife's assistance, he's being shot down the straightaway and looking to finish the job with 1 lap to go. White flags out. Brian Yaksik leads. Jacob Fife now, he's part of the 2-car tandem as the main pusher. Fife has gotten out to about a half second ahead of the field with Brian here, and there's no stopping. Can the rest of the field pull it back together? With the 24 of Chris Schetzler and Jared Davis, there looks to be hope. Coming down the back straight, Jacob Fife bails down low, blocks the 24's momentum, but it looks like now, squeezing 3 wide, here comes Chris Schetzler and Jared Davis. Wrecking in the back of the field means that only 2 drivers now have a shot. Jared Davis bringing the number 24 up and in front will look for an opportunity. He'll take it up high with momentum. The 19 surges down through the outside lane and spins to victory. Welcome to the Integrity Racing League. Jared Davis wins in Daytona. Sliding across the line by 41 thousandths. Davis wins. He'll lock in a second row start with a triumphant performance over Schetzler, Tarbuck, and Blake Cannon. Time to get a word from your Duel 2 winner. He just came through with victory. Now we'll get to speak to him. Jared Davis, getting the job done in our second duel. Looking for some official word as to where Jared David is, but as soon as we know exactly where to find him, we'll bring him in. Major victory there for the number 19. Stay tuned as we will bring you post-race coverage live on FTN. Jared Davis, the man of the hour, with that dual victory. And of course, your pole sitter, we're going to make sure we cover him as well. The number 22 of John Steele. Currently, it looks like Davis not with us in any of the voice chats. And trying to figure out where exactly he is, and maybe we can get a word from the number 19. With Davis's victory, he'll be lining himself up right alongside our Duel 1 winner in Chad Mikas. And it looks like right now, still waiting for official confirmation as to where Davis is. In the meantime, as we wait for Davis, we'll hear from your pole sitter overall, the number 22 of John Steele. Steele gets the job done and puts that top time in, his qualifying speed the quickest of all, and he comes in on top with a 49.405. So let's hear from, of course, the number 22. Steele's right up next, and we're bringing in the broadcast booth as we speak. With a top time overall and the second straight day of domination in the qualifying sheets for your team in Roadhouse Motorsport, John Steele, you've got the Octane Series pole for the Daytona 250 next week. It means the duel for you wasn't as important, but you got your first reps in back in the Next-Gen.
Absolutely, David. It was a really interesting and probably learning and information gathering experience tonight. The adult Chevy Camaro was one heck of a car, and thank goodness I had my Roadhouse teammates to kind of teach me a little bit here and there. Being pretty new to the series, only my second full year going into my third now, that this car and learning all these super speedways is my one chance to make an effort and make a good appearance for the Roadhouse team. So really exciting. Made the, like you said, made the duel a lot more relaxing. Got to kind of test out some new theories. Got some friends in the league to kind of push with there, but all in all, good experience for the team.
And the qualifying trim looking to be very strong for your team. That's one thing. Back-to-back days up in front. Any shared wisdom, or was it just a matter of chance?
It was a lot of training, and the one secret advantage for us, though, is the amazing equipment that's provided by Next Level Racing. I'm fortunate enough to use a wheel stand Light 2.0, and Next Level Racing has really blessed us, both this league and myself, and giving us the best equipment to move forward with everything. And I know our great cars, both Tom in the Ignite series and his Supra and my Chevy Camaro, Eric McFarlane and Vex Visions made our cars look really great out there. So I'm fortunate to have some great teammates with Eric and with Tom, and hopefully this is a good sign for the rest of the season to come, because we're trying to make a statement early and we're going to keep the pedal down.
And coming off of a 2024 season with the next gen, of course, being out of the picture, its return once again. How do you feel about bringing back the Octane Series original car? You think it's better for your chances, or you're indifferent?
Yeah, I think a little bit better for myself. Overall, speed-wise, I know I'm not one of the fastest guys out there. I got to rely on some alternative strategies, and the Gen 4 car last season was mainly tires, and I was not the best at saving tires. Despite how well I could qualify, I always fell to the back. But now it's fuel saving, and that's going to be the big advantage here. And we got to, with 3 cars in our team, we get to experiment and play around with some fuel ideas. So I'm really excited to see what this adult shop Chevy Camaro can really do.
John Steele, it looks like you and the Roadhouse Motorsport crew putting the rest of these teams to shame with pole positions back-to-back nights. Octane Series pole is yours, 250 miles next week. Any final comments, shout-outs you'd like to give?
I'm just excited for you being back, David, and you do one heck of a job and really make this league shine even brighter. So thanks for you coming back. Thanks for Jacob putting this league on. I'm excited to get week 1 next week and see what we can do to hopefully bring them a victory after the Daytona 250.
John Steele starting up front next week, collecting the pole position and racing through duel number 1. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, David.
With John on the way, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Jared Davis is available for comment tonight. We've waited quite a few minutes here, and we've tried to look through our registration system. Doesn't seem to be available for the time being. With that said, he pulls away with a wonderful victory and gets the job done for Duel 2. And with that said, Duel 1 goes to Chad Mikas. Your overall pole position heads to John Steele. And so the checkered flag flies on another night of exciting racing here in the Integrity Racing League. We've seen our 4 duels, and now we're on to our main events, which means that next week we go at it for real. 550 miles across 2 nights. Night number 1, Ignite Series 300. And of course, what you're watching right now, the second night, Tuesday night. It'll be an exciting finish and an exciting start. We're ready to go back to the World Center of Racing for the Daytona 250 in the Octane Series next week. Thank you all for tuning in live on FTN tonight. As always, I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated, and we can't wait, of course, to have you back for our next coming races. Tuesday night, the Octane Series goes for its season opener, and Monday night, the Ignite Series goes for its first race of the season as well. Thank you, of course, for tuning in and watching tonight's action. Congratulations to duel winners Chad Mikas and Jared Davis, as well as Octane Series pole sitter John Steele getting the job done in fast time qualifying tonight. We'll be back next week with more exclusive coverage of the Integrity Racing League found only here on FTN. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll see you next week, and we'll also see you Saturday night for our next broadcast with Saturday Night Thunder. Stay tuned for our next set of coverage, and we hope you have a fantastic night.